Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory have been serving Quad City families and veterans since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds, and are proud supporters of WQPT. Alternatives is a proud supporter of WQPT and has been serving our community for 40 years. Alternatives provides professional guidance to maintain independence and quality of life for older adults and adults with disabilities.
Better protecting our seniors, and artwork that will not stand the test of time in the cities. Quad City Arts is ready to get its hands dirty with chalk dust, but that's not the only very public art display taking over the cities in these summer months. We'll talk about that in a moment, but first, protecting older Americans. The National Council on Aging estimates 1 in 10 Americans over the age of 60 has experienced some form of abuse. Some estimates put the range as high as 5 million elders who are abused each year. But it's also said that only 1 in 24 cases of abuse is actually reported. Starting this month, Iowa is enforcing even stricter laws targeting those who prey on seniors. Some could even be family members. We talk with Mike Matthews of the Davenport-based Milestones Area Agency on Aging about a problem that knows no boundaries and is a real concern among senior advocates. Mike, Iowa now has these new laws to prevent elder abuse. Why was this needed? I mean, there's already laws against abuse.
Well, yeah, and good morning, Jim. I think we're talking about Iowa Senate File 522 that was passed into law by Governor Reynolds on June 15th. And these updates have been a long time coming. There were gaps in the existing law, and the definitions really needed updated. Under the previous law, there was only increased penalties for elder abuse that took place in a community home setting by a caregiver. So these laws didn't apply to neighbors or family. The crimes against elders would only be prosecuted, as regular abuse, not being specified as elder abuse. So now anyone, even a family member, can be criminally prosecuted for acts of elder abuse, regardless of where they take place. It could be in a home or outside the home. The other important aspect of this new law is there's much stiffer penalties. Many of the previous crimes that were elder crimes that were considered misdemeanors are now being charged as felonies. So it really provides just greater insurance that there's going to be consequences for any perpetrators that target and harm, the older Iowans.
Well, we were talking about the statistics of elder abuse, kind of shocking numbers, and that it's so underreported as well. How big of a problem do you see it in the Quad Cities?
We see it as a big problem in the Quad Cities and throughout, our 17 counties that Milestones represents. Underreporting is a big problem, especially when you're talking a lot of abuse is unfortunately occurs with family members, and they're not going reported. The victim, may feel shame that they were taken advantage of by a family member. They may not want their family member, their son, their daughter, their grandson, to get in trouble. So a lot of these offenses they go unreported. And elders also, they tend to make easy targets for these perpetrators as well. The older Iowans, as they age, you can certainly suffer from, cognitive impairment such as dementia. There's a good chance you're going to be physically weaker. And the older Iowans, they come from a more trusting generation, right? They're not as they're not as skeptical as Generation X. They're not always as quick to raise suspicions as some of the younger generations are. So, they make easier targets, and as such, there's always going to be people out there that are going to take advantage of it. And to say it's a problem is an understatement.
Well, in so many of these cases with elder abuse, it is a violation of trust, whether it's the caregiver or a relative or even, as you said, a neighbor. It would be difficult, I would think, to prosecute something like this unless it's really obvious.
Yes, and but that is the challenge. And the greatest thing that we can do as an agency is to raise awareness. We kind of live by the mantra here: if you see something, say something, because so much of it does go unreported. So if anyone, if they see something, if they just have a sense that something isn't right, if there's an older person in their life that is acting differently, that is maybe becoming more isolated, or certainly if they notice any signs of physical abuse, the best thing to do is to bring attention to that. Either ask questions of the individual, or if you're not comfortable doing that, you can call Milestones or your local area agency on aging, and we can come out and do a wellness check just to make sure that everything is fine, because it's very easy for these crimes to fly under the radar.
I don't want to take the position of the abuser, of course, but let's be honest, being a caregiver can have an emotional strain of itself. Is there any way that area agencies on aging are also making sure that caregivers are treated before this abuse actually occurs?
Yes, that is an important, a very important point, Jim. And we do have a well-equipped caregiver support program. We offer, a variety of services for caregivers. There's a lot of resources throughout the area, throughout the state, that are available that caregivers might not be aware of. Things such as respite care. It's one of the hardest jobs there is, especially being a full-time caregiver, and one that most people just aren't prepared for. So we are able to offer resources, again, such as respite, support groups, education, things like that. A caregiver they're only able to take care of their loved ones if they're taking care of themselves first. So we want to make sure that caregivers know that they prioritize their own mental health, and that they're getting any help and support that they need, because that help and support is available.
It seems to me that there's really two major elements to this whole thing. One is the elderly person who is trusting and so reliant and dependent on this caregiver. The other one is the caregiver who may feel that after a period of time they've given all they can give, and they feel, put upon by the services that they're doing. And it kind of creates this dynamic that can get out of hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Caregiver stress is very real. We see it. And again, the best thing, get help. There is help. So if you are feeling burnout, if you are stressed out, if you're frustrated, get help. Take a break. If there's not someone immediately available to assist you, again, the Milestones or other area agencies on aging, we have those resources that can help you. The best thing that we can do is to help the caregiver, before it really becomes a problem.
We know time and again that it's really important to prepare for your future as you're getting older. How do you do that? I mean, what should be the first step for the person who's in their 40s or in their early 50s or even mid 50s, where they're trying to start already thinking about the latter years?
Yeah, great question. We do live in an aging population. The advice that we give most often, first and foremost, plan to stay healthy. Health and well-being are paramount, and it's never too late. It's never too late to make lifestyle changes that will really are going to benefit you in your older years. Milestones offers, health and wellness programs, a variety of things that are going to, could really pay dividends. Nutrition counseling, Tai Chi, things like that. Both for physical and mental health, just to prepare yourself to be a stronger, healthier older adult. And beyond that, it's always important to what your wishes be known. And this is kind of speaking to the unexpected. If you don't have a power of attorney, we highly recommend that you establish a power of attorney. If you don't know where to start in that process, Milestones can provide support with that process. At a minimum, if you have close family, convey your wishes to them. If it is your desire to stay in your home as long as you can, make sure your family is aware of that, and you can make accommodations. Plan for the future. If you need home modifications or you foresee possibly needing home modifications, get ahead of those things. And the more you can plan for both the expected and the unexpected, really the healthier and the better off you're going to be, in your older years.
I want to go off topic for a moment because everything always seems to be related somehow to the pandemic, especially for the elderly population who went through 2.5 terrible years, oftentimes in isolation. Milestones was having issues as well, being able to make sure that people are getting treated, but also to try to provide services and meal services, things along that line during the pandemic. Tell me what the post-pandemic has been right now for area agencies and aging.
Well, we're getting back to normal, and I put normal in quotes. I guess Milestone services never stopped. What we did is we changed the way we did just about everything. Milestone is very well known for our nutrition programs. We offer congregate meal sites. So, those meal sites were closed, and we adapted different models to provide, the food nutrition services. Drive-through food pickup models. Our home meal deliveries obviously increased a lot. And then as far as the other support programs we have, we adapted to technology. We helped our clients adapt to technology. We were able to offer something called a GrandPad, and basically a GrandPad is a user-friendly tablet that can be easily understood even by someone that's really outside of the outside of the technological bubble. So and these GrandPads will enable them to have Zoom meetings, to have things such as caregiver support groups, or talk to their grandchildren that are far away and send pictures and things along those lines, just to really ease that isolation.
Mike Matthews of Milestones Area Agency on Aging. Illinois has a 24-hour adult protective services hotline. It's 866-800-1409. That's 866-800-1409. And the Iowa Abuse Hotline is also staffed every day, 24 hours a day. That number is 800-362-2178. 800-362-2178. Summer is about halfway over. I know, don't rush it. Laura Adams wants to make sure you do make the most of every opportunity you have to go out and about.
This is Out and About for July 15th through 21st. The Mercer County Fair continues with exhibits and grandstand shows in Aledo through the 15th, while the Rock Island County Fair in East Moline kicks off on the 19th. Oquawka, Illinois is the site for Remembering Norma Jean on the 17th from 1 to 3. Norma Jean was the elephant that was electrocuted at Oquawka. And the QC Chalk Art Fest takes place at Schwiebert Park on the 16th and 17th. The Israeli film series continues with their film Sublet at the Figge Art Museum July 17th at 4. Voyage, the Ultimate Journey tribute band, takes the stage at Bally's Casino on the 16th, and Vince Gill returns to the Adler Theater on July 21st. Bass Street Landing's summer concert series features corporate rock on the 21st, while Leonard Skinner performs at the Tax Slayer Center on the 16th. Or check out Travis Hossett at Wide River Winery in Clinton on the 17th. Playcrafters Bar and Theater present the classic A Raisin in the Sun running through the 24th. Disaster the Musical, featuring the unforgettable songs of the 70s, takes center stage at Circa 21. Music Guild finishes their enchanting production of Cinderella on the 16th. Richmond Hill Barn Theater in Geneseo presents Silent Sky by Lauren Gunderson. And Genesius Guild in Lincoln Park presents Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream through the 24th. For more information, visit wqpt.org.
Thank you, Laura. We like to highlight musicians who are doing their own, going their own way, writing original music, performing before fans throughout the cities. And we were able to catch up with one such musician. Electric Larry joined us at Moline's Black Box Theater to perform one of his originals. Here's I'm Sitting Here Hurting.
I'm sitting here hurting over you. I'm sitting here hurting over you. I'm sitting here, don't know what to do. I'm sitting here looking at the wall. I'm sitting here looking at the wall. I'm sitting here wondering what went wrong. I'm sitting here wishing you were home. I'm sitting here wishing you were home. I'm sitting here wondering what went wrong. I'm sitting here crying over you. I'm sitting here crying over you. I'm sitting here, don't know what to do. But darling, I know I love you. But darling, I know I love you. But darling, I can't go on without you. I'm sitting here hurting over you. I'm sitting here looking at the wall. I'm sitting here wishing you were home. I'm sitting here crying over you. But darling, I know I love you. But darling, can't go on without you. But darling, I know I love you. But darling, I know I love you.
Electric Larry with I'm Sitting Here Hurting, performed at Moline's Black Box Theater. We all know art comes in all forms, and sometimes it lasts for only a fleeting moment or two. Quad City Arts has captured that moment for one of the most unique art events, and it's more than child's play. It's hosting the 6th annual Chalk Art Fest at Rock Island Schwiebert Park. Quad City Arts' Kevin Maynard joined us to talk about this year's Riverfront Festival. The Chalk Art Fest really, I mean, like so many things, it morphs. It developed into something much bigger, and now it's 6 years in.
Yes. So we actually started with our Chalk Art Fest as part of Alternating Currents in Davenport.
That's right. Yep.
Spent a couple years there, moved into Bettendorf for a couple years, went virtual in 2020, and then I think we really found our groove and found our home at Schwiebert Park in downtown Rock Island.
And you've built kind of a festival around it. You do have MCs, you have DJs, you have bands, you also have bouncy houses. You make it more of a family event as well.
Yes, the goal is to, obviously the artists are going to be there for 2 days. They spend a lot of time working on their pieces of artwork, and so we want to keep more people there for longer. so that they can see the art sort of unfold. So with that, we have food trucks, we have musicians that are performing all day, food available all day, and then this year we've added some bouncy houses so that it creates a nice family event for the kids to play with. And then on top of that, we also will have a kids chalk area so that maybe they're not ready to take the big step into doing a big piece, but they can just color and kind of do those things on the sidewalks there.
And I want to talk about that, but I mean, you're associated with so many different types of artists who use so many different mediums. And the chalk art, you just kind of think of either a chalkboard at a school or some kids just doing some drawings for hopscotch on the ground. But I mean, you look at the pictures and the intricacy, the different colors, the whole palette, it is amazing.
Yeah, it really is impressive, just the amount of detail that some of these artists can make happen, on concrete with some chalk. And the interesting thing is that over the years, watching how they work and how they do different things, like you see a bunch of different techniques. So you see, artists who are just kind of using the chalk and kind of coloring the way that, like someone like I would, because that's basically where, my creative process stops. But then you see others who are using that and then using sponges to kind of like brush it in so that it, can, makes a nice, like an image that kind of just, blends into the concrete there. And then what I think is one of the coolest things is that some of them will actually crush up their chalk, add a little bit of water, and so that they can almost like paint with it. So it's it's still chalk, but they're using it in just like a different consistency, so that they can create a more smoother background or be able to fill in a larger area. And just seeing that process unfold with each artist is it's really incredible.
Yeah, but every artist you think wants their works to last forever. You know what I mean?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like it's the Rembrandts that are around for 100 years, 200, 300 years later, and you have artwork that vanishes with the next rainfall.
Yeah. I mean, the cool thing about art is that sometimes like it is temporary. I mean, it is just art of the moment. So for some, I'm sure that they're happy that it's going to be gone soon. And then for others, I'm sure that it is a little bit hard. I mean, to see some of these pieces that are just absolutely incredible, to know that within a week or so they're going to be completely gone off that concrete there.
Well, and as you mentioned, and as we all know, I mean, everyone has touched chalk at some point.
Yes.
And so you want people to be actively involved as well, and you've developed this over the last few years as well, is kind of a community chalk art program.
Yes. So what I think is the coolest thing about this is that anybody can be a chalk artist with this. So what we give them is we create a design in-house. This year's is a Pac-Man theme. So it'll look like so there'll be some sort of a Pac-Man image, and then it'll be gridded out into, I think it's 2 feet by 2 feet squares, and then you can purchase some chalk from us, and then fill in these squares. And so that is, gives a really easy way to get involved and be part of a larger piece with the community. I always participate in that one, and I always take typically the bottom left, because the bottom left on the image tends to always be one color, so I can just color in like a blue or a black.
Wow.
So, and I wish I was joking, but I think every year I've taken that bottom left corner. So.
You're not like pushing the boundaries here, are you?
Look, I know my limits. So.
Let's talk about some of the other things that are going on with Quad City Arts, because right now we're at that process where you're changing out and finishing up some of the public art displays throughout the cities that sometimes people walk by and don't necessarily notice all the time. It becomes a part of your environment. Yeah. And I love the pictures that you have on your website that does show so many of them, because I sit there and go, oh yeah, I know that from that street corner. How important is public art to represent not only for the artist but also for the community itself?
This is sort of my soapbox. I mean, we could spend a lot of time on just this topic alone. Public art is incredibly important. I mean, there are lots of different types of public art, but really, public art helps show outsiders of a community like what a community is about. It helps represent the cultures in a community. It helps represent a community's values. The biggest thing that public art does, just by having it in your community for an individual who lives there, it helps increase civic pride. Like, studies consistently show that communities that have more artwork have a populace that more or less like more enjoys where they live and is also more engaged with where they live. So just having that in the communities is really important for the people who live there. But then also for the businesses, it's important because the arts drive tourism. I mean, people visit communities to see public art, and a lot of times public art will help drive traffic to businesses who are nearby to it. So this year, with our public sculpture program, we've added Davenport back to the mix, and so on Second Street in Davenport, you can see all these different sculptures, and some of them are outside of the Figgies, some of them are outside other businesses. If you go to Live at 5 with RME, you'll see one of our sculptures right there. And so it helps just sort of create a welcoming community. And that's just the public sculpture side of things.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, you're also looking at I-74 being gone from downtown Moline. Moline has actually done investigations into what art is available and is actually putting art in its planning process, almost like an urban palette you have now.
Exactly. Well, and that's a really impressive thing that the city of Moline has created and approved. I mean, creating a public art plan is very important for a community, but what Moline has also done behind that is put a substantial amount of investment to be able to make those things happen. And with the clearing of the I-74 bridge, like, there is a very large area that is going to be ripe for public art, and really ripe for like really large scale public art, which I think is very exciting.
I want to talk about, you brought up that chalk art actually started during alternating currents. Of course, that's coming back is it on both sides of the river in August. Quad City Art's a part of that?
Yes, of course. So we'll do some things in downtown Rock Island. We're going to be partnering with local businesses just to be able to help, draw some people over. Obviously, our gallery will be open so people can come and see the artwork that's on display there. But then most of our stuff this year is happening on the Davenport side. And so actually really in one really small area, right on the Sky Bridge and underneath the Sky Bridge. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of Alternating Currents weekend, we'll have a group called Squonk who will be there, and they have these giant inflatable hands that they use that are, they're something like 24 feet tall.
It's amazing.
And they're fully articulating, and it's like a jam band style music, and it is what I like to call delightfully weird. And it is just a lot of fun. So we'll have some during the day, we'll have some at night, and then Friday and Saturday at night on the Sky Bridge, we will have a silent disco. And so for those who may not know what a silent disco is, we'll have 3 live DJs on the Sky Bridge mixing music, and then everybody will get these headsets, and the headsets are color coordinated with the DJs. So you can switch between the 3 DJs, and for the DJs, it becomes a goal of trying to get everybody onto your color, but for everybody else, it's just they're all dancing together, but they may not be listening to the same artist. I mean, it's just a really fun and kind of unique environment.
Our thanks to Kevin Maynard, Quad City Art's Executive Director. The Chalk Art Fest, July 16th and 17th at Schwiebert Park. More than $1,800 in cash prizes will be awarded. On the air, on the radio, on the web, on your mobile device, and streaming on your computer, thanks for taking some time to join us as we talk about the issues on the cities.
Whelan Presley Funeral Home and Crematory have been serving Quad City families and veterans since 1889. Whelan Presley Funeral Homes are located in Rock Island, Milan, and Reynolds, and are proud supporters of WQPT. Alternatives is a proud supporter of WQPT and has been serving our community for 40 years. Alternatives provides professional guidance to maintain independence and quality of life for older adults and adults with disabilities.